Hey Z-Boy fans, we're standing at the corner of Bicknell Avenue and Nielsen Way in Dogtown, Venice, California. And the reason why I'm here is because this is where the Z-Boys practiced their slaloms on cones right before the Del Mar Nationals of March 1975. This is where the Z-Boys practiced, and this is where they developed a lot of their style in Dogtown. This is where they grew up. And this is a memory of Jay Adams, the original seed, and Shogo Kubo just passed, Bob Biniak, Cress Cahill, and Baby Paul Cullen. And if you've ever seen Dogtown and Z-Boys, the documentary, there's a lot of documentation, film footage. Thankfully, Craig Stecyk had the prescience to even film them practicing on this hill. And Peggy Oki kicking ass, doing those slaloms, those Burts. And if it wasn't for these guys, the evolution of the revolution and skateboard culture, man, that billion-dollar industry wouldn't have taken off the way it did in the mid-70s. And if you were a kid in the 70s, that was probably the next hippest thing to do after school, was ride your skateboard. And Tony Alva, the expert skateboarder of all time, along with Stacy Peralta, I don't even know who was better. They were all great, but according to all of them, they say that Jay Adams was the absolute totally best. And in the mid 70s, you would have said, man, he's a badass rider, or a badass, or a bitchin' rider. Today you'd say he's a sick ripper, man. And at that time, Venice was a working class environment, and over there in the distance, they tore out the POP, old Ocean Park Pier, but that's where the Z-Boys practice all their cuts and their Burts between all the pilings before it was burned down I think about 1976. And incidentally, that's the pier that Charles Bukowski wrote in his poem Funhouse. But I can't believe those great guys are all dying off as young as they are. So may they live in rest in peace and live in our memory. And like I said, if you were a kid in the mid 70s, you absolutely have no understanding of what the skate culture did for the mid 70s. I mean, man, there was nothing going on here in America after the 60s ended. And but skate culture and the clothes that it made cool to wear, and the skateboards, and it was like the progenitor of all the tricks that are being done on BMX bikes, snowboards, and rollerblades. And a lot of those tricks, a lot of those really bitchin' ass sick aerials were all developed by Tony Alva and Stacy Peralta and Jay Adams and all the Z-Boys. But man, those guys, it's funny how they were all brought together kind of like by the universal spiritual mind, kind of like a Lennon and McCartney being born in the same place and time, along with Arthur Lee and Johnny Echols of the group Love. And what would even, in the same energy that brought Jim Morrison together with Ray Manzarek and the rest of the Doors. Anyway, like I said, pretty much in the 80s, you couldn't even walk down the strip of the Venice beachfront. It was all dilapidated, and it was nothing but a bunch of drugs and homeless people. There still is a lot of homeless, but they really fixed this place up in the double lots. And me and my friend used to come here in the 80s, and pretty much all of Dogtown was boarded up. But when Dennis Hopper moved here in the 80s and built his mansion, even though there was a lot of drug wars going on in Venice at that time, then the rich and famous started moving in. And now, man, they've like completely taken over the Hollywood industry, this place. In fact, that's the only type of person that can actually afford to live here in Dogtown now, is the Hollywood people, the people that make 6 figures a year, unfortunately. And even the parking is horrible. You can't even afford to park here. So let me pan around here, and we are between Santa Monica Pier and then Venice Pier is about a mile. I remember I walked that a few times and I measured it, and and Santa Monica Venice Pier is about a mile, but in between was the famous POP Pier, where, like I said, the Z-Boys practiced on surfboards between all the pilings. Okay, Z-Boy fans, hope you guys appreciate this, and long live the original C.J. Adams and the rest of the Z-Boys. Rest in peace. God bless them wherever they're at. Thanks.